Welcome, everybody. What a tough act to follow. Sangram Vajre brought down the house talking about GTM and specifically ROI for marketers. I hope you all loved it. And as people are coming in here, it seems like the session just ended. I'm really excited to start mine. And welcome. So quick shout out before I get started. Today is my dad's 70th birthday. I hope he figured out how to log in here, Dad. But shouted him out. You could check out LinkedIn after this presentation to see a cute picture when I was just a pup. Oh my gosh, everybody's coming in. This is exciting. So my presentation today is a little provocative. Why is a community founder writing about communities being replaceable? Okay. Communities are replaceable. Let that sink in. And I'm not saying they're not needed. Clearly, I agree with that. But, this is important. And I just want to set the tone for before I dive in. Okay. This isn't going to be a traditional keynote where I give you all the answers. We have phenomenal speakers, top to bottom of the day, that will do that and give you game plans. But I started RevGenius because I didn't have the answers, and I still don't. So for me to come and just guide you through answers, like it didn't feel like me. In fact, I found the biggest hack was to bring in smarter folks around you, like the Sangrams, like the Leslie Greenwood, who's going to speak after me today, and have that as part of the community to lift the collective. And we're going to do that today. So I started RevGenius because I didn't have the answers, still don't. So it's only fitting this presentation isn't filled with answers, but ways that we could solve some of these challenges together. We wouldn't be here without one another. And that's the impetus behind RevGenius. But even still, communities are replaceable. So check out this slide. This slide actually kind of makes my head hurt. Look at how many. This is the MarTech landscape chart of 2023. There's got to be over 10,000 companies on here. Everything is so small. It's just like little dots. Like they're not even separate. You could barely make out the categories. And that's the way this has evolved. There's not even full rev tech on here or sales tech. God forbid all the adjacent stuff, right? So it seems like the number of communities are increasing, right? Like it seems like something's launching every single day. Every major B2B SaaS brand, like picture all of these having a community, or as a lot of founders and heads of growth and marketing tell me, we really want to start one soon. Oh yeah, cool. Now, there's all these communities, but then, I take a step back and I think through, and how many people have an iPhone or a Netflix account and use it every day? I mean, I don't even, I'm almost embarrassed when that like weekly report of the hours that I'm on social and stuff, like super embarrassed, but on there every day, it's sticky. And continue to use it. Netflix, I've logged way too many movies. So thinking through this, why do you have it? And why do you stick with it? And feel free to throw answers in. Like, I want this to be interactive in the chat. Like, why do you use that? Like, so, going forward, like, why are communities different? Name one B2B SaaS community that's really built a movement. right? Name one. So there's two examples that come to my mind, and they're not really communities as much as big events. You have Dreamforce and you have Inbound. They're events, but they're also movements. And but before this year, I would have said SaaStr, but when you throw two things at the same time, people were making a choice, and they stuck with where there might have been more of a movement or more of a pull. Now, even still with these events, and you might be going year in and year out to them, are you interacting day to day with them? And I named Salesforce and HubSpot. Like, sure, if you're a Salesforce or HubSpot agency, you are. If you have a problem, you are. But are they indispensable? Are they not replaceable? Sure, the tool is irreplaceable, although lots of people are trying to disrupt that. But like, is it really irreplaceable? So, what about the community around them? Like, have you really thought about that? So, it's funny when I said I was gonna do a speech on communities being replaceable. I posted on LinkedIn, and I want to just point out Harris telling me I was going to cut my own leg off, but he's also curious to hear it. Harris gave me complete permission to share this, and the point is, like, am I really shooting myself in the foot? Or am I just aware of the delicateness of building a movement? What is it about Inbound and Dreamforce that makes people come back every year? I'm curious. And again, this is interactive, everybody. So why are you going back to Inbound and Dreamforce year in and year out? And as you think through that, FOMO, it's funny. Adrian writes FOMO. You actually have a question and a poll coming. That is one of the answers. So as we do this, the first poll, I want to understand, check out the polls over here. How many communities are we a part of? Take a minute and feel free to also put in the comments, but I want to see in the poll over to the right, how many communities? And there are three very simple answers. I say human connection. If you don't go, you won't have an edge over your peers. That's awesome. You won't be wasting time if you go there. Super true. Place to be seen, promote the brand, nothing more. I mean, I'd argue there's a bit more, but sure. Learning from others. Cool. So let's we have poll results coming in here. So as expected, how many communities are you a part of? 0. Two people aren't a part of any. The 2 votes are just a part of RevGenius. Thank you all. But the reality is over 90% are seeing more than one, right? So the proof is in the data. We have a micro community within RevGenius called RevRoom. It's senior leaders in revenue roles. So we asked the last 20 B2B marketers who joined RevRoom if they belong to more than one community. And they all said yes. They all had been a part of others. And that wasn't that surprising. And this is going back to our communities are replaceable, right? So now the next question, and there's a live poll, ask yourself why. Why? Is it FOMO? I know that we had folks earlier mentioning that. I feed some of the newsletters to ChatGPT, makes me a digest of it. Used to subscribe to 21. Community enables you to learn and collab. So ask yourselves why. Is it FOMO? Is it lack of value? Have you not found your people? Or is there other? Drop it in the chat. So of course, coming up with this, I was like, how many communities am I a part of? And the answer is, if it's not obvious, is more than one. It's actually over 54 communities I'm a part of. And I founded RevGenius. I'm actually active in like one outside of RevGenius, to be honest, where I'm there posting multiple times a week on a regular cadence. And I asked myself why. Some are for market research. I want to understand what folks are saying in other spaces, sure, and problems that they have. Some are tactical for quick needs for myself, where I might need to, when we were hiring our head of owned media, I realized we had some great content folks in RevGenius, but there was literally a community of just content people. Also, when I wanted to learn growth, I joined Reforge, which is a phenomenal growth program. I think it's like second to none. It's awesome. And some of the courses there are tremendous. Some are actually to communicate with people that are hard to get to. Like I'll join their community because they might not respond. And, thinking through, why am I not finding all of these in RevGenius? So the community I'm active with outside of RG gives me technical, tactical level advice that, frankly, we're not facilitating well enough in our community. Some communities are more specialized for certain needs, right? Like I could ask in hours for that head of content and probably find somebody awesome, but there was literally a community with like 5,000 just content people that, helped me broaden my horizon there. And, so, to be honest, some have that new community hype feel to it. And I just want to check it out. And that's the FOMO answer. The FOMO effect. So I've been a part of communities even before RevGenius, certainly a lot now, yet I've decided to start our own. And the reason was I fundamentally believed community should be different. And I'm seeing all these amazing conversations coming in. And I see shout out to some of the community folks in here, like Derek, obviously Pragya. So let's check out what folks said here. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to put this on the stage. Why are you a member of more than one community? And I had a feeling the last answer would be into the 90s. Okay, FOMO is the number one reason. FOMO followed by dropping my answer to chat, followed by lack of value and not found my people. This is super interesting. This is super telling, and we'll share these results after. So I'm going to hide the poll from the stage, and another interactive poll right here is another live poll, and just throw the answers in the chat for this one. How many of you have been laid off, either have been looking for a job, currently are looking for a job? Maybe you're fractional or a solopreneur and you're always looking for new clients. And then how many of you looked for answers to questions that your network isn't sure of? You text your friends, you DM a few people on LinkedIn, and you still need to find another answer. And you could write a simple yes or no here. I'm waiting for the no's. Kelly, Heather. So how have these communities that you're just joining for FOMO, right? That's your top answer, and multiple helped you with this? How has RevGenius helped you with this? And I want to pause. Like, if the answer isn't immediately apparent, I stand by what I said. Communities are replaceable. So just jumping in, why I founded RevGenius, and take a little trip down memory lane. I started RevGenius kind of for a self-serving purpose. I wanted to find a job myself. And the communities at the time weren't helping me do that. And I'm like, wow, weird. So we put a group of people together in a LinkedIn DM chat. And what I found out quickly was the other folks in the group had different needs of their own. They might not have been looking for a job per se, but they might have wanted to learn how to do social better or do better at their job. And what started as like a way that I could leverage to show hiring managers, see, like I was looking for like a sales leadership type role, that like I was leaning in and I knew community, ended up being mutually beneficial because there are other people that I could help. And I said, oh my gosh, I think we have a community. So to help people, from finding a job to giving to others happened quick, because I realized that giving was the root of all good. And looking around, so this group of LinkedIn folks, we'll call them top 25, and I just met with one of them yesterday, my first time ever, and I haven't met with maybe even half of them in real life, which is a whole nother story. But he flew from the UK into New York, not just for me. But I did go out of my way, we both did, to meet each other in person and reminisce 3.5 years ago, the value that we gave to one another. And they told me, like, let's go to Slack. But I said, before we go, we can't just be another Slack channel. We're a member of that. Heck, FOMO's getting me to all of them. And realize, like, listen, how could we be different? Sure, we could be no cost. We could allow everybody in, and those are all important. But to be inclusive and impact as many people as possible, it was critical to not have a fee. Like, sure, we have RevRoom now, and there's a cost and an exclusivity to it, but there needed to be an entry point for everybody, because this is how to fully harness, in my humble opinion, community, is to allow everyone at the table, so to speak. So be inclusive would allow as many people to be impacted as possible, and try to be not replaceable. Now, also create a space for people to learn collaboratively and help one another. This space is moving at rapid speeds. Sangram wrote the book Move 2019. I didn't even realize it. And it's evolved so much since already. And he's been a big part of that evolution, as well as his community of people, right? And learning from one another, help them get to today, and is going to help us all get to tomorrow. And that's why our mission is to build trusted spaces for curious revenue leaders to collaborate on the future of B2B go-to-market. So having a space that was collaborative to help one another was big. There's enough courses out there. A lot of them are very good. But I felt that we could push each other further than a course that launched 3 months ago or 6 months ago might not be as relevant today, but conversations with one another, what we see in the market, in the space that might have changed this quarter from last, this month from last, this week from last, are really important. So to facilitate growth, and I don't mean numbers, the numbers of members and all of this tend to be lagging indicators. Growth of the people in the community tend to be leading, because everything else will follow. So actual growth of community members, that was massive. How can we do that? And then, just as importantly, for people to feel heard and welcomed and get that feeling of being a part of something bigger than their others. And so even before that here, to create a community that would truly be a community. I always said that. And what the fuck does that mean? right? Like it's kind of like a subjective meaning, and like everything we were doing kind of had this like objective subjectivity to it, if that's even a phrase or an oxymoron, or I'm not even sure, but it just made sense. To me, that's a community. So not a company disguised as a community that has distinct demand gen initiative. Guys, I know we're looking to bring demand from your community, develop demand from your community to generate more revenue from it and all of that. It's critical, though, please, to make it not a thinly veiled sales pitch. Communities are replaceable. Come on. So let's create a community that could truly be a community, that has that empathy, that allows people to feel heard and welcomed. You know what? They'll buy, and they'll buy more from you. Shocker. Get that feeling of be a part of something bigger than themselves. Be a part of it. That's a cool feeling. And that's what we want to build. So as silly as it sounds, I wanted to give so much to the people of this space. My whole life and career, and most people that I come across, at least early on, is similar. Like they're looking to get. And sure, there'll be nice people in the process. But I realized we needed to change that. I needed to change that because I'd become more spiritual, more in tune with the way the universe works and all of this. I'm like, let's just give. We didn't charge anything. We didn't make money for 7 months. It was probably the stupidest thing in the world. But it worked. And, we want to give so much to the people of the space without asking for anything in return, but paying it forward to others, and to create this synchronistic, flow to harness the power of the universe for the collective growth. And I do hope RevGenius could be just a little part of the growth of the space. So thinking through this, does that sound irreplaceable? If a company gave you all of that, if a community, I should say, gave you all of that, does that sound irreplaceable? So this is what we're working on building RevGenius to. And listen, I'm not like we are strictly like, we're not perfect, but we're setting the foundation to being that irreplaceable community. And here's a really, really meaningful quote that a friend gave to me, or shared with me rather, that really rang true. So Jeff Mulligan, the founder of the British think tank Demo, said, community is deliberately a different word from society. It may refer to neighborhoods or workplaces, but to be meaningful, it must imply membership in a human scale collective, a scale at which it is possible to encounter people face to face. And it pains me that you only see my face right now, but we'll have the speed networking and everything coming up to go face to face, and to nurture human scale structures within which people can feel at home. Wow. Connect with people, make them feel heard. All of that seems to be some commonalities here. So building an irreplaceable community, how are we going to do it? I think we got a decent start and a decent foundation here, but more work needs to be done. So I'm on a personal mission to really understand how to build an irreplaceable community. How can RevGenius be that part of you day in and day out, or be part of that your lives that you want to go to? Because we give you exactly what you need, like holistically. Not just understand how to sell better. Sure, we should do that. How demand gen's evolving, blah, blah, blah. We need all of that, but how to connect with you as a human. So I don't have all the answers. I said that in the beginning, that this wasn't going to be something filled with answers, a presentation. I kept true to that part. But in the next 12 months, by next RevCon 2024, RevGenius will be experimenting on how to become a community in which you can truly belong. And if you can't tell, we've already started, but like how we can double down on that. I've personally launched a newsletter called The Community Plug This is a personal passion project for me. And I'm really exploring community, not just from the third party community lens of like a RevGenius, but more so from a SaaS company that has a product to sell, connecting with the people lens with a little bit of this sprinkled on. And my issue this week, as you can imagine, is called Community is Replaceable. So I really want to hone in on what matters. And yeah, we're in the age of the solopreneur, y'all, the fractional, the efficient growth era, the creators, the community, the whatever led growth. In this age, collaborative growth communities are the future. That's it. Communities are replaceable, but that doesn't mean they're not important and they're not critical. Thinking with this lens and this idea will help you really connect with people and build something that actually is as irreplaceable as your iPhone or Android. Thank you all for your time today. Go into the RevGenius Slack, drop your LinkedIn links right here in chat so you can connect with more people. Community transcends platform. RevGenius is part of the community, but hey, that you're on LinkedIn as well and social. And it's important that we help you build community. So I followed Sangram, a community pro, peak community, GTM partner, CMO of Terminus, like out of control good, who follows me is going to actually put us both to shame. Leslie Greenwood is going to be talking about from customers to evangelists and how companies can create more evangelists. And if you can't tell, the whole theme of RevCon is to help you leverage people for your company growth in a very organic, very connected way. Thank you all for your time. You all mean the world to me. There's a couple minutes in between sessions. Have an awesome day.